I'm Haley Perot, and this is Northwest NEWSWEEK. Mercury contamination near Dryden and Grassy Narrows is still being worsened by runoff from the Dryden mill. That's according to new research released this week. It shows industrial wastewater from the mill is increasing the rate that existing mercury is converted into the form that contaminates fish and impacts human health. Lee Noonan has the details.
High levels of methylmercury found in fish have taken a severe toll on the health of people in Grassy Narrows First Nation since the 60s and 70s, when mercury was dumped into the English Wabigoon River system by the pulp and paper mill in Dryden. New research shows that the effluent from the mill today is still exacerbating the issue.
The chemistry of water that's being discharged from the mill in Dryden today is amplifying the mercury problem above what we would expect it to be if that discharge were not occurring.
Grassy Narrows Chief Rudy Turtle wants to see the mill take immediate action to address the problem.
I hope that they would support cleanup and also that they would look at making sure that they are having safer practice or just shut it down, period.
The mill's new owners, Dryden Fibre Canada, say they care deeply but won't comment until they've had time to review the report. According to Brand Faroon, it's well known that sulfates and organic matter are needed to convert mercury to the methylmercury that accumulates in the food chain. Both are naturally occurring in the river, but his study not only found sulfate levels 30 to 100 times higher downstream from the mill, but also found high levels of organic matter that compound the problem even more than they expected.
So about 10 times more sulfate resulted in about 2 times more methylmercury. And so that's a significant amount, because if you reduce the amount of methylmercury in the environment by half, then ultimately you would reduce the amount of methylmercury in fish by half.
Turtle says he's disappointed but not surprised by the results and holds both Ottawa and Queen's Park responsible.
They're the ones that put the regulations on, and they're the ones that look after the practices, so they should have done a better job. And again, it's disappointing to see this happening in this day and age.
A spokesperson for Ontario's Ministry of Environment and Conservation said the report is being reviewed by technical experts and a meeting is planned with Brand Faroon and Indigenous communities next week. Meanwhile, Brand Faroon says this doesn't have to be bad news, as it would be much faster and easier to stop adding the sulfates and organic matter to the river than it will be to remove the mercury.
Every moment that we continue to add these compounds to the river, we're still producing more methylmercury that's entering the food chain.
The Federal Ministry of Environment did not respond to our requests for comments before this story went to air. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
Northwest Region OPP are now confirming that a transport crash on Monday led to a fatality. The single vehicle collision forced the closure of Highway 17 between Ignace and the Sioux Lookout turnoff for around 6 hours that day. The crash occurred in Satterley Township shortly before 8:30 in the morning. Dryden OPP responded along with fire crews and paramedics. The passenger in the transport truck, a 24-year-old from Mississauga, was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver was transported to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The OPP's traffic incident and collision reconstruction teams are involved in the ongoing investigation. The highway reopened at around 3 o'clock Monday afternoon. Ganoogaming First Nation has declared a state of emergency due to rising crime. The community near Long Lac is calling on the federal and provincial governments to provide immediate assistance.
You have to say enough is enough, and we need to draw the line somewhere and get the support.
Ganoogaming Chief Sherry Taylor says crime in the First Nation has been increasing over the past year, and serious incidents recently pushed council to declare the state of emergency. She connects the issue to a lack of police presence in the community, and they're demanding both Ottawa and the province step up to increase the number of officers and provide support for local peacekeepers.
You know, when you have drugs coming into the community, you have a lot of crime that comes with that, and that's like theft, assaults, serious crimes that have been occurring, and it's affecting our children.
Taylor says the drug and alcohol abuse in Ganoogaming stems from both historic traumas and recent tragic events in the community. They're also asking for resources to address mental health and addictions. The chiefs of Anishinaabe Nation got a first look this week at the terms of a $20 billion long-term reform agreement for First Nations child welfare. It's one of two agreements resulting from a landmark human rights complaint against Canada. The agreement was the main focus of a two-day special assembly in Thunder Bay. Lee Noonan was there.
NAN chiefs spent much of the day today going over the nearly 120-page final settlement agreement that lays out how almost $20 billion will be spent on long-term reform of First Nations child and family services. Negotiations with Canada are ongoing for the historic settlement, which has been in the works for more than 17 years. But NAN Grand Chief Alvin Fiddler says they're 99% of the way there.
We are close to coming to a final agreement. I think we can almost see the finish line.
Fiddler says the agreement is about building capacity and empowering communities and families to look after their own children.
We want the best for our children.
The settlement stems from a human rights complaint filed in 2007 by Cindy Blackstock and the First Nations Child and Family Caring Society with the Assembly of First Nations. The two-part settlement is the largest in Canadian history and provides $23.3 billion in compensation for children and families harmed by discriminatory underfunding of First Nations child and family services, as well as this $19.8 billion for long-term reforms of First Nations child and family services and Jordan's Principal programs.
You as NAN leadership, you knew and took that step that our children were priority. That our children needed to know that we cared and loved them, and that we are taking back that authority to make those decisions with them and for them.
NAN has had intervener status in the case since 2015 after successfully arguing that the unique needs of NAN communities warranted a seat at the table. Deputy Grand Chief Bobby Narcisse says the agreement will reflect NAN priorities, including a needs-based funding model and considerations for remoteness.
Not just, our fly-in communities, yes, they have very unique challenges, but also our road access communities as well are also included in the remoteness aspect of it, because we know that there's various degrees of remoteness.
According to Narcisse, the NAN chiefs are the first in the country to get a look at the agreement. It will also be presented to the Chiefs of Ontario in June and at the AFN in July. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
Forest fires caused major disruptions on the Trans-Canada Highway last weekend. That includes a full closure of Highway 17 from Chappaqua to Ignace on Sunday. The two fires were brought under control and the highway near Chappaqua reopened the same day. That fire was discovered burning right along the side of Highway 1117, and it was extinguished quickly. The other fire, located roughly 20 kilometers west of Ignace, was still active but under control as of Friday afternoon. The Transportation Safety Board has wrapped up investigation of a hard landing in Sandy Lake in the fall of 2022, which caused significant damage to the fuselage of a plane. This photo shows the damage to the bottom of the bearskin plane, which was carrying 28 passengers and 3 crew members at the time. Fortunately, there were no injuries, but the impact caused the interior structure of the plane to buckle. The TSB found the pilot and first officer had both been hired a few months earlier and had limited experience flying in the remote north. The flight path showed an unstable approach, which then caused the plane to bounce and tip up on the landing. Since that incident, Perimeter Aviation has revised its stabilized approach criteria and added a training video on pitch awareness. Chiefs of Ontario will be electing a regional chief next month. After the break, we'll hear from 4 candidates for the top job who stopped by the city this week. Chiefs of Ontario will soon be electing a new regional chief at their annual Chiefs Assembly next month, and several candidates have officially declared their intent to run. At Anishinaabe Nation Special Chiefs Assembly in Thunder Bay, 3 candidates for Ontario Regional Chief made a case for their candidacy to the Nan Chiefs. Abraham Benedict, Grand Chief of the Mohawk Council of Akwesasne, former Nan CAO Travis Bassano, and former Batchewana Chief Dean Sayer all addressed the Assembly. Grassy Narrows Chief Rudy Turtle has also announced his candidacy.
We need advocacy, we need relationship building, we need a leader that's going to have those linkages to the province. And we, as elected chiefs in our community, are not able to be there.
What I'm committed to, is to creating those relationships. And I have a slogan, and it's a vote for me is a vote for us.
My name is Flies with Tilted Wing. My job is to look at the world from a unique perspective to give our people, because we get kind of complacent, we get stagnant, and we always got to be open to thinking outside of the box.
I've lived in the community. I lived on reserve. I understand the concerns people have. I know the issues. I've been in front line of protesting and speaking up for people.
Current Regional Chief Glenn Hare is also expected to run. The final candidates list will not be official until the day before the election, which is scheduled for June 11th to 13th. Gold is officially flowing at the Greenstone gold mine. The company announced their first gold pour this week on schedule. The first pour took place on Wednesday, producing 1,800 ounces of gold, with all equipment operating as expected, according to a release from Equinox Gold. Once it's operating at full capacity, the mine is projected to produce roughly 400,000 ounces of gold a year for the first 5 years, gradually declining for a yearly average of 360,000 ounces of gold over the expected 14-year lifespan. The first pour is a major milestone for the mine. A health technology company specializing in medication delivery software has completed its first successful drone test flight. Critical medication was delivered to a patient located 30 kilometers outside Thunder Bay in about half an hour. Officials say this might be the future of pharmaceutical delivery. Jaden Billick reports.
ScriptRunner is the company responsible for this Canadian first. The firm partnered with Oak Medical Arts Pharmacy to utilize an AI-powered drone to deliver meds to hard-to-access areas. A shipment of insulin was successfully delivered to an elderly woman living alone on Trout Lake. Co-founder of ScriptRunner, Adam Plummer, speaks more about their efforts.
As our company, we believe that everybody deserves to have a great quality of life, and that's why we kind of do it in the form of medication delivery, right? So I think that if these populations are in areas that are hard to get to, again, this is the drone is definitely a versatile equipment. That's one of the many things that we use for last mile to get them their medication. So I definitely do think it could really help out with that.
The drone used for the demonstration is the DJI Flycart 30. A large 65-kilogram wind-resistant machine capable of carrying a payload of up to 40 kilos. This trial run could potentially revolutionize the country's evolving healthcare landscape. The executive director of Oak Medical Arts, Robin Despins, says drones could provide crucial solutions in transporting medications to those in desperate need and also reduce busy pharmacy workflow.
It's been absolutely exciting to be a part of ScriptRunner's first drone-delivered prescription launch today. As a pilot project, we can see that this is going to be absolutely instrumental potentially in the future of healthcare, delivering prescriptions in a timely manner and helping patients access the care that they need. So we're really excited to be a part of the very first step in moving to that direction.
Some of the uncontrollable variables include bad weather along the flight paths. However, human interception of these packages could also be a looming threat. Plummer addressed these possible issues and how the deliveries would work.
signatures are required. Yes, exactly. And so what the tracking actually does is that pharmacies are able to know where they're going to next. So, say for example, they have 5 deliveries and it gets delivered to the third person. Once that delivery is done, it says successful and they know which delivery they're going to next. So, it's a live action shot of where the deliveries are going. So if there's any time where a person doesn't get that medication, they'll call you right away and we'll be able to track where it is.
Further testing is required, but officials hope to be making routine drone deliveries of prescriptions by early 2025. Jaden Billick, TBT News.
Efforts are underway in Marathon to revitalize the port there. The town has partnered with Bitagong Nishnabeg to form the Peninsula Harbor Port Authority and bring shipping back to the area. The port has been inactive since the shutdown of the mill 15 years ago. Efforts to bring life back to the harbor have been ongoing for years and are finally coming to fruition. A port operator, QSL, has been brought on, and Marathon Mayor Rick Dumas says they're already looking to secure a product supply. And if all goes well, he's hopeful there could be the first ships docking within the year.
I won't let more details out than that, but we're excited about it. But at the same time, we're also excited about other products that can come through the port. Potentially with a generation coming on board, other aggregates. We're hoping with Terrace Bay, we had discussion preliminary about their opportunity to send off pulp and pulp products to the European market. So yeah, we know we know they're shut down right now, but there's still potential there that mill gets back up and running and ships a product through this port. So there's many opportunities, and not only that, supplying the whole North Shore basically from this port.
Dumas says they still need to dredge the harbor. They're applying for $4 million from FedNor and the NOHFC to cover that cost. Additional work could also be needed to accommodate seagoing ships in the future. Work is on hold again at the site of the new headquarters for the Lake Superior National Marine Conservation Area in Nipigon. It's the second work stoppage in less than a month. The first stoppage occurred after a bone was found in the excavated material on May 8th, only 4 days after a groundbreaking ceremony was held for the $37 million Parks Canada facility. The bone was later confirmed to not be human. A number of objects dating from the mid to late 1900s were also uncovered. Site manager Lisa Nyman said construction stopped as soon as they were alerted to the bone, and work restarted on May 16th. The project was stopped again on May 21st. Parks Canada officials have no comment at this time as to the reason for the second work stoppage. Anishinaabe police are raising the alarm about extremely toxic drugs that may be circulating in many Nan communities. Police say they've observed a significant spike in apparent opioid-related overdoses in the northeast region, and there's concern that the same drugs could be spreading throughout Nan territory. They encourage community members to keep a supply of naloxone on hand and seek immediate medical attention for any suspected overdose. And we'll be back in just a moment with a story about the efforts Contact North is making to help laid-off mill workers in Terrace Bay find new careers.
A lot of people don't want to relocate, so it's hard to find a job unless you can move.
It's been more than 4 months since the idling of the Terrace Bay Mill. With only a handful of workers still employed there, many have found work elsewhere. But for those who are still looking, Contact North wants to help. Contact North no longer has an office in Terrace Bay, but they set up shop at the library last week to connect with laid-off mill workers and raise awareness of their services, which are still available online. Education and training advisor Kathy Falzetta planned after the mill event to help connect unemployed mill workers with the training opportunities they need to get jobs that are available in the region.
I think a lot of people don't want to relocate, so it's hard to find a job unless you can move, but there's a lot of jobs in construction, mining, that they can do the camp life, they call it, where they fly in and fly out, and then they can still keep their homes here. So there would be the safety mining courses they would have to complete.
A month back, my wife showed up from India, and I got married a year back, and I started family here. And this is an unfortunate situation right now, how it happened. And yeah, I'm trying constantly try to find work, and dealing with this new employment agencies where they're trying to find jobs and trying to look for part-time jobs in this region where I'm comfortable right now. I don't want to move to other places.
Rushikeith Karukunda lost his job as maintenance project coordinator at the end of March and says it's been very difficult since then, but that the Contact North event has given him new hope. Contact North's free training program and education support is available at contactnorth.ca. Anyone without internet access can also visit the learning centers in Marathon and Red Rock. Tightening municipal budgets are a cause for concern for libraries across the North Shore, and the region's librarians are gathering to problem solve together. Library CEOs from Red Rock to White River came together in Terrace Bay recently to make connections, compare notes, strategize, and share resources. The region's libraries face many of the same issues, and the informal group hopes that they can help each other face those challenges. Top of the list is budget.
Reorganization. Every small town on the North Shore budgets are tight, and especially when, well, for Terrace Bay particularly, because our mill just closed, and so there's budget issues.
The biggest challenge all of us have is always going to be budget and staffing. A meeting like this gives us a chance to exchange ideas for programming. Maybe there's other things that we haven't thought of. You get stale. You tend to do the same thing over and over, even if it's your posters, so this gives us different ideas.
The meeting included a presentation on VOLT, the Valuing Ontario Libraries Toolkit, which helps them advocate for their funding by establishing a monetary value for the services libraries offer for free. The librarians also exchanged materials from their collections and talked about scaling back traditional services and increasing ebooks and audiobooks and less conventional collections like puzzles and games, musical instruments, or even seeds. Some Indigenous students are now better equipped in their educations. NEWSWEEK Tribal Council is one of several recipients of refurbished laptops, ensuring more people can access services. The laptops were collected by Rotary clubs in Southern Ontario and will be given to students in NEWSWEEK's education program. The equipment was refurbished by Siemens Energy Canada with the initiative created by the Charity Corporations for Community Connections. Audrey Gilbeau with NEWSWEEK says these laptops will go a long way.
Having equipment that's really functioning is one thing. Having the equipment that's going to be able to potentially help to elevate someone's opportunities as they start to look to engage within not only education but to employment as well.
In today's world, with today's education requirements, it's virtually impossible for a student to totally succeed, to go through public school and into post-secondary education without having a laptop to be able to access resources, do assignments.
That's all for this edition of Northwest NewsWeek. We'll be back next week with more of the top stories from across the region.